All right, so now we're going to start on the pricing cards project, and I have created just the pricing cards folder, and I have an index HTML where I just have an H1, and I also brought in the Tailwind CDN. Okay, there's no images for this project, so there's no assets we have to bring over. So this is what the final result will look like. We basically have three columns with some information. This could be like a hosting packages or something like that. And they're going to be in a row on medium and larger screens, but on smaller screens, they're going to stack like this. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so let's get started. And the first thing we're going to do is just the global container. So we'll say global container. And this is similar to what we're going to do for all these projects, because all of these mini projects just go right smack dab in the middle. And we can do that simply by adding, making a flex box, aligning items. So align item center with the item center class, justify dash center, which is justify content center. And then we need a height, so I'm going to do a min height of screen, which means the entire screen. It's basically a height or a min height of 100 VH. And then we'll give it a background. Let's do BG slate and let's say 800 for the shade. So if I do that and I put something in here, it's going to go right in the middle. All right, now for the container, basically we have a container for 3 items. You could add more if you want, more columns or cards, whatever you want to call them, but we're going to do 3. So we need to make this a flex box. Now remember, we're doing mobile first, so it's going to be a flex column to begin with on smaller screens. And then when it hits the medium breakpoint, it'll be a flex row, but I'll add that class in a second. So let's also do margin on the y-axis 6. And then since it's a column, we want the space on the y-axis 6. So basically this is saying, 6, which I believe is 1.5 rem. We're going to have that in between all the items on the y-axis going vertical. Now, if we're on medium screens, then we don't want that space. So what we'll do is say on medium screens, we want the space y to be 0, but on medium screens, we want the space x to be 6, because now we want that space in between. So we can't forget to actually make this a flex row on medium screens and wider. And then we'll go ahead and say on medium screens and wider, we'll make the margin on the y-axis 0. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Now in here, I'm just going to do, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to say div. We'll just say item for the text, and we'll do 3 of them. So if I save that, you'll see that now we have our items going into a column with the space on the y-axis. If I make it past the medium screen, then it turns into a row with the space on the x-axis. All right, and I know it takes a while to have to explain this, but I don't want to just type out these classes, have you copy me. You get the same result, but you don't know what the hell's going on and what these actually do. So my goal is to have you understand this so you can use it on your own. Okay, so hopefully it's okay, because I know that it does make the course and it makes the videos longer. All right, so now that we have, let's actually put a comment right here, because this is we'll call it the inner container or the card container, column container, whatever you want to call it. And then we have our first column, so let's say column 1, and this is going to be the outer edge of that. So let's do background, let's say BG slate dash 700. We'll make the corners rounded, so rounded dash XL, and then let's make the text dash white. All right, so this is basically the outer div of this first column here. All right, now what we want to do in here is build 3 separate parts. We have the upper container, so it's basically from here to here. Then we have a border, and then we have the bottom container. So this isn't going to be all one single div with rounded XL like I just did. It's going to be the top with the rounded corners at the top, and then the bottom will have the rounded corners at the bottom, and then this in between. Okay, so it's basically 3 different parts. So let's call this, I guess we'd call this like upper container. So let's do padding of 8 all the way across. We'll do margin on the x-axis 3, margin on the top 3, and the margin that I'm doing right now is what you're gonna is the space right here. Okay, this isn't a border. This is just 2 divs, and this inner one has a margin pushing it up and out on the sides. All right, so let's see. We got margin top, margin on the x-axis, and then here we want to do just rounded on the top, so rounded TXL. Okay, and then we'll do the background, we'll do BG slate, and let's make that 800, which is a little darker. So let me just save that, and you can see that this is the first div right here, and then this is this inner div with just the rounded corners at the top. And the margin is what makes the spacing. If I want that top to be wider, I could do like MT8, and now you can see the top is bigger. Okay, if I did MX8 as well, then that's going to be thicker, but I think 3 looks good. All right, so that's the upper container. Let's go inside of that upper container. Let's start to add the text and stuff. So we'll have a div. Let's do text dash center and uppercase. And in here, let's do basic, like that. And I would suggest having the projects open on another screen or whatever on the other side of your screen so you can actually see what we're building. There is a screens folder in the assets folder that has a screenshot of all the projects. So under here, let's do an H2. This is gonna be the sizing, the disk size, which is gonna be the biggest text. So that's why I'm giving it an H2. We're gonna do margin top 10. Let's do a font dash serif and text dash 5XL. So making it pretty big. And then text dash center. And for this one, let's say 100 gigabytes. All right, so we got basic, 100 gigabytes. Then let's go underneath the H2, and we'll make this one an H3. This is going to be the price. Say margin top 2, and text dash center, and this is going to be $199 per month. Okay, so that's the pricing. Underneath that, I'm going to have just we're going to have the button, but I'm going to put it in a flex box and just align it. So justify. Let's say justify dash center, and then we'll have our A tag that's going to go nowhere, and say purchase, and then we have a bunch of classes to add on to this. All right, so first of all, let's display it as an inline block. Let's do padding on the x-axis 10, padding on the y 3, and margin on the y 6, and text dash center. We'll have a border and the border color, which will be, let's do violet. We'll say violet